Welcome to the Plant Initiatives podcast series, where we talk with people about the innovative work that they are doing to increase the respectful treatment of plants. My name is Sue Fager. I'm a board member for the initiative. And today I'm delighted to be talking with Pam Montgomery, who is an earth elder, author, and teacher who has passionately embraced her role as a spokesperson for the green beings and has been investigating plants and trees and their intelligent spiritual nature for more than 3 decades. Pam, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Sue. Nice to be here.
Let's start off with your philosophy of working with nature. Can you share that with our listeners?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So, my philosophy is one of co-creative partnership. And some would say, what does that mean? And how do you do that with nature? And it's really about recognizing that, and I'll use plants as an example, like as part of nature. I mean, nature's like a whole bunch of stuff, but plants are actually a big part of nature. So I'll just use them as an example that we have been co-evolving with plants since the beginning of time, really. And so it's really important to realize that we already are in relationship with the plants and that we're on this track together, and that we can actually come together in this partnership where we, and it's equal, it's an equal partnership where we both can contribute to bring about balanced manifestation. So that's basically where I'm coming from, is that we are in a co-creative partnership, or let me rephrase that, is that we're already in a relationship and that we can build into a partnership. So, and that really helps us to recover from our amnesia of forgetting that we are a part of nature as well. We're not separate from nature. We're a part of nature. And this amnesia, I'm going to call it, that we've fallen into, thinking that we're separate and that we're different and that some would say, better than, or the crown of creation, and we're not. So we're in this together with all the rest of nature. So when you look at it that way, when you realize, oh, we're not separate, actually, these are kin, all of nature is kin, especially the plants, because we're so symbiotically related to plants. So it just changes everything when you think about things that way, and you kind of walk through your life as like, oh, I'm a partner with nature. Like, we're in this together, and we're creating, we're manifesting and creating together. And so that whatever I do affects all the rest of nature, affects everything else, affects the plants. So that's very different than looking at nature as a commodity, which is what's happened during this amnesia phase. So that's, that's basically my philosophy. And the other piece I want to say here is that I'm part of the O.N.E organization, the Organization of Nature Evolutionaries. I actually founded it back in 2013. And so all of this piece of co-creative partnership is kind of, embedded within that organization. So I created this, and now work with a bunch of other people to carry out the mission of the Organization of Nature Evolutionaries. And it has to do with, educational opportunities mostly, to help people engage in listening to nature and in listening to the plants, and then building this partnership that I've been sharing with you right now, building that relationship with the living earth, and that we really honor the sacredness of this relationship and this connection with nature. So there's an organization that actually is carrying out this vision of co-creative partnership. So, yeah.
Thank you. How'd you get started in your work with plants? What was your catalyst? And then we'd love to hear about your first experience
Oh, that's a
with
tough
plant
one. The first
sentience.
experience, well, that's a tough one. Well, I've always loved plants. Even as a kid, I remember like always wanting to be outside. I couldn't stand being inside. I always wanted to be outside, usually playing underneath trees.
Hmm.
And I happened to have, I had the great fortune of having a grandmother who my grandparents lived in the Eastern Hills, the Appalachian Mountains of Kentucky. And they were very, what you would call salt of the earth kind of people. And she was a plant person. And she talked to her plants. And so she's one of the first persons that I ever knew that did that. So I kind of grew up thinking that that's what you did.
Hmm.
That's what you're supposed to do. I was like, well, my grandmother does it, so surely it's what you're supposed to do. And it wasn't until I became an adult where people were like, you do what? You talk to plants. And so, but I just thought that, so I feel like I got this little head start because of my grandmother. And but I was always a real outdoor kid, and even I can remember at when I'd go in the summers and be with my grandparents, and I remember they had this pawpaw tree that was just, it was near the house, and it was one of those trees that you could, as a little child, you could get underneath it, and it was like the branches kind of came down around you, and you were kind of like hidden in underneath
Hmm.
this tree. And I remember like I'd have twigs and leaves and pieces of bark, and I'd have little, and they would be all my little playthings. I
Hmm.
didn't have dolls and stuff like that. I had little nature objects that would be, and so I remember this pawpaw tree, underneath it was like a whole nother world that I created under there. And it was just like this magic world. And, I mean, I look, when you asked that question, I was like, what was my first relationship with sentience? I think it was with that pawpaw tree way back then. Now, do I have a cognitive kind of memory explanation of that? Not really, but I have a feeling sensation of what it was like to be with that tree. And of course, I was a kid, so I was in the magic realm anyway as a child.
Right.
I feel like it really influenced me. And, and I was always, as I got older, I was part of the Back to the Land movement. So we're talking in the early 70s. I was part of the generation that, okay, we're going to go back to the land, and we're going to grow all our own food, and we're going to take care of our own health, and we're not, Big Brother's not going to take care of us, and that's what we're going to do. Well, back in those days, there was maybe two or three herb books on the shelf. There was not
Hmm.
hundreds. And part of that was taking care of your own health. And we had little children and all of that. So there wasn't really any information. There wasn't anybody those were the early days of all of it. And so we really had to rely on what we could gain from the plants ourselves. So it was really this interesting time. So there was a lovely stream that ran through the property, and there were all these forget-me-nots that lived along the stream. They're pretty little blue flowers. They're just
Hmm.
gorgeous little blue things. And I remember just falling in love with these plants. I was like, they were so beautiful, and there were so many of them that would come. And I was like, forget-me-nots. So I feel like those forget-me-nots, just like their name, they really
Hmm.
helped me remember like who I really was, because here
Hmm.
I was like really throwing myself into this way of life. We didn't work outside jobs. We turned on the hot water heater when my mother-in-law came to visit. I mean, we were hardcore. But we were really dedicated to it, and we were going to do this, and we were going to live this life with the land, not live off the land, but live with the land and all that it provided. And those little blue flowers, I spent a lot of time down by the stream. I feel like I just became smitten by them,
Hmm.
and I feel like they helped me remember who I really was, and helped me remember that, oh, actually, human beings have been doing this with land for a
Yeah.
long time. You can do this. You just need to remember. So I feel like that was kind of the beginning part of like sentience, of like a plant that um, was had biointelligence, and that
Hmm.
this simple little lovely flower imparted that to me to help me kind of tap into that biointelligence and realize that I had it too. And it wasn't just nature and just, and I had to go do all this book learning and everything to learn how to do it. Actually, I could, so it helped me begin to remember the language of nature and the language
Right.
of plants. And then, kind of after that experience and kind of moving on, and I remember I had a garden that I made it into a spiral garden. And it was like my healing herbs were in this spiral garden. And things started to happen in that garden that I couldn't explain. I couldn't explain it. It was like, what is going on here? And it wasn't, I couldn't logically like have an explanation for it. Just things started to happen. And I was like, oh, there's something else going on here. These plants are way more than just their chemical constituents that have an
Hmm.
effect on my physical body. There's something. So then I started reading all the Findorn books and started like
Right.
really, going deep into that piece. So I feel like, I'm sorry, I'm not pinpointing the moment, but it feels like it was kind of like a progression.
Hmm.
And
And evolution.
yeah, and so there you go. It was an evolution, and this evolution continues. It's
Hmm.
like it's like the old Buddhist saying, when the student's ready, the teacher appears.
Yep.
That's the way it is with the plants. When you're ready for the next piece, they go here. And so it keeps it all very exciting and fresh and all of that. So you don't ever get bored when you're working with plants. I don't. Let's put it that way.
Hmm.
And so it continues, and they continue to like, here's the next piece. And it's just so it's, yeah, it's an evolving process with them. And I just, I really, you mentioned the thing that the one organization did recently, which is, can plants save the planet? I absolutely. If anybody or any beings can do it, it's the plants, because they've got the long view. They've been around a pretty long time, and so they've got the long view, and they keep being predominant.
Hmm.
They're predominant on the planet, in all of nature are the plants, and so they just keep figuring out how to do it with all the iterations on this planet. So that didn't really answer your question about what the first time was, but you get a sense of how it developed.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, just listening to you, Pam, to me, it feels like maybe it was that pawpaw tree and
Oh
that
yeah,
she
it
had
was
a
that pawpaw tree.
maternal kind of relationship with you, which is really beautiful to think about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so too.
And following up on what you said, and we're going to touch on this a little bit more in a couple of questions, but I think about how plants have been with this planet with every evolutionary step that the planet has been through. And so you're right, it is the long view. It's the very long view.
Very long view.
Um, and like you, that gives me hope. Um, if we can re-dash member,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Remember.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's our next question. And it's the one about the plant human matrix, engaging ceremonial and full symbiosis within the space where the elder common plants and trees initiate and guide us into being truly human. Can you share more
Oh, I
about
would
that
love to.
space?
This is my favorite topic.
Oh, good. Let's go.
So, so it's a great segue, because this is what I was just saying. It's like they give you the next piece. So
Mhm.
this is the next piece, is that's happened for me. Is It's been a few years now, but basically the plants are in their evolution, because they're evolving too. In their evolution, they are stepping up to the plate to become like the elders. So like
Hmm.
When you think of initiation, the initiation process, I mean, in a tribal culture anyway, it would be the elders initiating the young people into the tribe, and there's usually a year long process, and at the end there's this big feast that they have, and then the young people take on a new name, and they actually become a part of the tribe then. And so, and they know their place within the tribe. So, nowadays, I mean, there's very few initiations. Many of the elders are passed on, are gone. I mean, maybe bar mitzvah, maybe, there might be a few little remnants here, and in indigenous cultures, there's very few intact indigenous cultures left on this planet. There's a few. So, anyway, so what that means is there's entire cultures of uninitiated adults, which means that our cultures are not intact if we haven't been initiated into what it means to be truly human, living sanely, keyword,
Hmm.
within the collective. Then we don't know how to be within the collective, and I think everybody can see that playing out right now. We're kind of
Hmm.
clueless of how to be on this planet together in all of our diversity, and taking up our role, in the collective, sharing our gifts. We all come in with these gifts, and I feel like that's part of what we're doing here. Is we're here to share our gifts, whatever they are, for each one of us individually, with with the rest of life, with nature, with people, with animals, with everybody else. That's what we're doing here. But we don't really know that. Most people don't know that, don't even know what their gifts are. So, how could they even share them? So, the plants, common, everyday plants, we're not talking psychotropic plants,
Hmm.
common, everyday plants, ones that grow right outside your doorstep. These plants are stepping up to become the elder to initiate us into what it means to be truly human, and walk on the path we came here to walk, living sanely within the collective. That's what they're doing. So, these plant initiations that we are doing, basically, what I'm doing is 3 days, all of it's in a ceremonial context, all of it, every step of the way. And we are taking one plant, and we make what I call an elixir. It's different parts of the plant with different
Hmm.
mediums, mix them all together, and then you ingest it. So it needs to be an ingestible plant, although you can work with plants that are not ingestible. It would just be like with a different kind of elixir, not something
Hmm.
that has chemical constituents in it, just the vibratory resonance
Hmm.
of it. So, and we do 3 days, and then we do all kinds of things with the plant. We do shamanic journeys with the plant. We embody the plant by we make masks, and then we have a council of the plant. So if the plant is a dandelion, so at night we would have a fire council, have a fire. Everybody's in their masks. They all dress up, and we have a council of dandelions. Everybody speaks as if they're dandelion. So it's an opportunity to like let the plant speak through you in council. And it's fabulous what happens and what comes forth. And then we do this thing called green breath, which is basically it's transformational breath work, only focused with a plant. And it is so powerful. It is unbelievable what happens during these green breath sessions, that you're breathing in a particular way, a formalized kind of breathing. It's an open mouth breath for an hour and 15 minutes. So it's lengthy. It's not,
Hmm.
5 minutes of breathing. So what's happening now, what I'm noticing is that it's been a lot about personal healing. It's been a lot about all the old traumas that we really need to be done with, so we can stop spending so much energy on that and actually move into like, our full potential and put energy that way in that direction. So, but what's happening? I mean, there's still personal healing, but it's now kind of moving into also the collective healing. So What's the healing that needs to be done for the collective? So it's all the isms, or sexism, racism,
Hmm.
classism, all the isms are coming up that really need to be healed. And it's just amazing what these plants are doing. I'm kind of blown away by it. And they, so I let the plant choose me. I don't go and say, okay, you're the one for next year. I don't do that. I let the plant choose me because the plant's the initiator, not me.
Hmm.
I'm just the
Hmm.
facilitator. I'm just the one that gets it together, you know. But the plant is the one actually doing the initiating. So that means that whoever's facilitating needs to work, hand in hand with the plant, because you got to work together to do what needs to be done for this particular group. And people are hungry for this kind of way of working with the plant. Last year, the plant was motherwort, and I usually do two dates because there's so many people that want to come. And so I put it out, and they filled up immediately. And I kind of went to Motherwort, and I said, "Okay, well, I'm starting up with a waiting list now." Motherwort said, "Oh, you can't turn anybody away." And I went, "Oh, okay, well, let's see. I guess I have to add another date." So I added a third date. All of them filled, and there were waiting lists. But in the end, it turned out that everybody who wanted to come came. And but I was like, so this year the plant's Angelica, and I said, Angelica, I'm very happy to do these initiations. However, I want you to know we're doing two dates, and that's what I need. So in this partnership, that's what I need this year. Um, so anyway, these talk about giving you hope. These initiations are it's like nothing you've experienced ever anywhere, and the plants are doing this, and they're really, it's like they want us to succeed. They want us to
Hmm.
get it. They want us to come home to nature. They
Yeah.
want us to do that. So they're just like, they're really supporting us. They're really holding us up and helping us. And it's so incredible. I mean, even to the point of, people are going home from these initiations and going into their communities, and like these opportunities to really help serve their community in another amazing way is coming up because the plants are saying, you can do this.
Hmm.
Here's what you need to put into place to make this happen. I mean, they're being informed by the plants on how to um, make life live, and how to live, like I said, sanely within the collective. Now that gives me hope. And so many people, I've already put out for the Angelica initiation. On January 1st, I sent out my newsletter. It's the 16th. So we're a little over 2 weeks. One of them has 4 spots left, and the other one has a few more, but not many. I mean, already they're almost full, both of them. So, so what's come from that is that the plants said, "Well, you got to get these initiations out there more." I said, "I'm one person. How many initiations can I do?" "Well, you need to do a training to train other people how to facilitate
Right.
initiations." And I went, "Oh, okay." so so I was like, so my colleague and friend Emma, she's in the UK. She's the one who was running the Plant Consciousness Conference for years, and that's how I met her. So she's all involved with plants too, and she did my apprentice program, and I've done lots of initiations in the UK with her. Anyway, she and I have put together a year-long course, which we're in the middle of it right now, to do exactly what the plants instructed us to do. So that means there'll be more initiations out there across the globe before you know it. So there you go. That's that big long story. I mean, I can talk about this till I'm blue in the face, but you get the picture.
I do. I do. I've been an intuitive interspecies communicator probably since day one. And like you, I thought, oh, everybody can do this. Everyone can talk with rocks and trees and animals and rivers and clouds. But it's really interesting to me, Pam, to look at when I first started embracing this as a young adult in my 20s with how this was perceived in the general culture to where we are now 40 years later.
Yeah.
And, in one sense, it seems like it's been a really long time, but in the grand scheme of things, it really hasn't been that long.
No.
And I'm guessing you are probably encountering the same, like that shift that we're all hoping and praying for is happening, and maybe we just can't see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is. I think so many more people are waking up to, the realizing that they are a part of nature, and they're starting to remember. They really are.
Mm-hmm.
And the plants are bringing that forward to them. And I get so many emails, people telling me their stories and everything. And I think it's hopeful times, even though on one level it looks like, chaos, but out of that chaos comes order, and is what I'm seeing,
Mm-hmm.
and with many people. And so I'm feeling actually good about what's happening in this arena with nature and with the plants, and it feels like, oh, good, we're heading in the right, and we have help. We don't have to do this
Mm-hmm.
all alone. We've got the help of the plants, and really all of nature, but the
Mm-hmm.
plants especially, because, like I said before, we're so symbiotic related. I mean, we're like little brothers and sisters, like, practically. I mean, and we've always, they've always just preceded us in our evolution. Their plants have always preceded their animal counterparts in evolution. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's just a given. And so that's what's happening now. Is our evolution now is of a spiritual nature. It's of a raising of consciousness
Mm-hmm.
nature. And that's what they're doing. They're in their evolution are doing that. And then so here we come right behind them. So I feel like we're right on this cusp of this huge explosion in our spiritual awareness and our conscious awareness. It's exciting.
Right there with you, Pam. Just a couple more. What advice do you have for listeners who are interested in exploring and evolving their own relationships with plants?
Well, spend time with them. Get outside, spend time with them for sure. And I mean, it's not difficult to move into partnership with the plants. I mean, start where you're at. Start where you're at. So I would say one thing that we all have, everybody across the globe. So this is not for the chosen few. This is for everybody. We have our breath. And where does our breath come from?
Right.
It comes from the plants and the trees and the sea vegetables. That's it. That's only the where breath
Mm-hmm.
where oxygen comes from. That's our breath. And that's the plant's out breath, and our in breath, our out breath is carbon dioxide, which is the plant's in breath. So we already are in this very, I mean, it seems like, oh, well, we just breathe, whatever. Don't even think about it. I mean, some people do think about it, but, it's pretty much just like we do it and we don't think about it. But once you do kind of bring it into like consciously breathing with the plants, it takes it into a whole nother realm. It's like it becomes profound. It's like, wow, I'm the breath of another being. Wow, that's intimate. So start where you're at. And that's a place where everybody is breathes. So you can start there. Then from there, I mean, I go, I've got a whole thing about plant communication and all of that, but our bodies are these amazing little miracles that can tell us all kinds of things. And so when you're sitting with a plant and you're breathing with it, the plant has the ability, this is in the science, by the way, this is not Pam's new agey idea, this is in the science, that plants have a greater capacity to fine-tune their resonance to us than we do to them. I mean, they're just being themselves. They're not
Mm-hmm.
trying to be somebody else. They're not balancing checkbooks in their head. They're not, thinking about what happened yesterday and what happens tomorrow. They're just present right here, being themselves. So they can be like, and fine tuned.
Mm-hmm.
And plants have, well, all animals and living beings have biophotons, particles of light, at the nucleus of the cell. So your cells, my cells, biophotons, plant cells, biophotons. And so when the plant can can fine tune its biophotons to our biophotons, and it makes a beam of light. They call it a laser beam. Actually, that's what it's called. And so it becomes coherent. It's called coherence when you make that beam of light. And the communication. It's a vibratory resonance. So
Hmm.
communication happens on a vibratory level. It's not with sounds that come out of you, like you and I, out of our mouth. This is our main form of communication, which is the least effective, quite frankly. And so it's a vibration that you exchange with the plant. And your body can sense that. It receives a sensation of that resonance. And you can feel it in your body. Sensations are, it might be heat, it might be tingling, it might be tightness, it might be, but it's a sensation. So you receive the sensation from the plant, you identify it, and you take it from way out here and you focus it. You go and you bring it right to exactly what it is. So, for example, a sensation, I have one of my sensations is softness. It's like everything is soft, 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 soft. The air is soft, my clothing is soft, my skin is soft, everything is soft, 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 soft. And so it's like soft is kind of out here. So you say, okay, now what kind of soft? Is it soft as silk? Is it soft as velvet? Is it creamy soft like butter? You really kind of bring it in as best you can, and then you put a handle on it. It's called putting a handle on it. So your handle would be soft as silk. And in saying those words, then you go right back into soft as silk, and you're right there with the plant, being able to do this two-way street back and forth on a vibratory level, because you know what the vibration feels like in your body because it's soft
Hmm.
as silk. So so it's this I mean, it takes a little practice to do, but again, everybody receives sensations, everybody can feel vibrations. You know, you've walked into a room and go, ooh, that's a funky vibe, ooh. Or you've walked into a room and say, ooh, this vibe feels good. Or how many times have you said, oh, we are really vibing together? I mean, we have all these
Hmm.
expressions that have to do with vibration, and then people come along and say, "Oh, I can't do that." Well, yes, of course you can do that. so so anyway, so that's what I do, the felt sensation piece, because I feel like it's easy to tap into the plants on that vibratory level in that way. So so the foundational ways communication happens in the biological world is through light and sound. So sound also carries that vibration. So those are the two fundamental ways that we communicate. So everybody has the ability to do this, but start where you're at. So start with breathing, um, and and join the one organization, join Organization of Nature, join organizations that are doing this kind of work, because then it puts you in touch with other people that are doing it, so you're
Hmm.
not out there on your own just feeling like, maybe I'm a little nutso. Like, no, you're not at all. You're right where you're supposed to be. And if you're starting to think about this kind of stuff, it means that some plant out there is like knocking at your door, like really wants you to open up and receive all this. So it's there, it's available. I've written a couple books that you can, if you want, you can read those. My new book, the Co-Creating with Nature book, there's like about a third of the book is about plant initiations and the plants that we've been doing initiations with, and what they've been bringing forward, how to do an initiation. If you wanted to do something with yourself, for yourself,
Hmm.
as an initiation, it tells you how to do it. So anyway, that's what I would suggest. Start with where you're at, and it's not hard. You're designed to be in communication with nature and plants.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
think the hardest part for people is probably, oh, this isn't real. What I'm getting isn't real. And that's just a time and experience thing of It is. You got to trust what you get and see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah. I would eliminate from your vocabulary, oh, am I just making this up? No,
Yeah.
you're not. You
Yeah.
can trust that. So here's the thing, plants don't lie, people do. So
Hmm.
plants are not going to lie to you, they're not going to betray you. They want you to succeed. So you can't go wrong when you're working with plants. So, anyway,
Pam, I think that's a really great
so you and
thought.
I could go on and on, couldn't we?
We could. We could. I haven't even told you about my experiences with bristlecone pine trees. But that's a
Ooh, I bet that
conversation
was a
for
good
another
one.
day. It was. Thank you for joining us and
Oh, you're
for
so welcome.
helping our listeners better understand the importance of co-creative partnerships with nature and plants. Where can listeners find out more about your work?
Yes, my website is wakeuptonature.com. Just all one big, and just wakeuptonature.com. So you can find the initiations that we're doing there, other kinds of things that might be going on. My books are listed there. There's a link also to the Organization of Nature Evolutionaries that I mentioned to you that's on my website. So wakeuptonature.com. You can go there and find everything.
Wonderful. Pam, thank you so much. And just a reminder for our listeners, previous podcasts can be found on the Plant Initiative's website at plantinitiative.org. So again, thank you, Pam. It's just been a real pleasure.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Sue.